Hi everyone, my name is Richard Fowles. I'm the product manager for POC on all the arc welding equipment, and I need to introduce to you today the new Smootharc Advance II 250R, a new machine in our range. So the second part of the introduction of this new machine is I'd like to run through with you all the package contents that come in the two boxes that you saw previously. So the most important one obviously is in the big box, and that's the power source itself. And with that power source inside the toolbox, or the power source, would be your gas regulator to get the gas out of your cylinder and into the machine. With that, you'll also find your gas cylinder strap. This is to hold your cylinder safely on the rear of the power source. And you will find also in there your electrode holder for the MMA function of this machine. And to complete your welding circuit, your work return lead. Now, on the cylinder tray, on the rear of the power source, the most important piece of information is your operating manual. Please read this before anything else. Make sure you read and understand the contents, especially the safety instructions, as well as the contents list. Top tip, always look at this before you do anything else. Right, safety first, read this. Another item I need to point out to you that's very important, that can be easily lost, and this part sits in the bottom of your wire feeder box, is your spindle. And this holds the wire feeder on top of your power source. Please make sure you don't lose this when you throw away the packaging, because it lies in the bottom, wrapped in plastic at the bottom of that box. So please look out for it. And with it are your two spacers, that these three components work together to hold your wire feeder on top of your power source. The other important component you'll find in your main power source box is your welding torch, okay, and that is a Binzel MIG MB36KD torch. That is in the box, so please take note of that. And of course, in the wire feeder box is your wire feeder, which you can see here. The Advance II wire feeder. With that wire feeder in the box will come some additional accessories, which are your rollers, where it can be screwed onto the bottom of your wire feeder. There's a pair of these, as you can see here. And most importantly, to hold them to the bottom of your power source, there is a packet of screws. Now, with the wire feeder, there's also your interconnection leads, and you can see here I have the 1 meter interconnection lead, and already pre-assembled to this gas hose is your quick release couple, which will connect to the rear of your machine. And this end you'll see pre-assembled is your nut that screws onto your regulator. So please take note of that. It's already pre-assembled. Don't go looking for it. It's already there. With that, we also have the 10 meter interconnection cable, and please take note of that. It's also there. I'm not lifting it up now because it is quite heavy, but there it is. And also importantly, we have a whole set of extra feed rolls. You can see them here. Now there's a whole bunch of them. There are feed rolls here for flux cord wire, V rolls for solid wire, stainless and mild steel, and U-groove rolls for aluminium. So these are all included with the package. The actual details of the sizes of these feed rolls are all included in your operating manual. So please take note of these. So there it is, guys. Everything's there. And as I said, double check that everything is in the package like it should be. So the next stage of the introduction of this machine is to show you how the machine looks like when it's now assembled. All the bits are on the machine. So I'd like to introduce you to this side of the machine. First of all, you can see how the wire feeder now sits on top of the machine with your spacers in place here and your spindle. And you can see the toolbox portion of the machine open over here with your MMA lead sitting inside the toolbox. So I'll close that up now. And you can see what it looks like, all neatly tidy in. And you can see how the cylinder sits on the rear of the machine, nicely strapped in. And you can see we've got the F3 Viper on the rear of the power source. The important feature is that it's a fully enclosed wire feeder, and you can see this is where your wire will will eventually sit and feeds in through the rear of the wire feeder. And here you can see wire feeder over here. You can see it's a 4-roll wire feeder system, which is really important for seamed flux cord wires. You can see your feed rolls in place, ready to change. It's an old screw that you remove, and you place your feed roll in its place. Pull the tensioners down, you can see it flips up, spring loaded. It's a matter of loosening up the knurled screws and removing the feed roll. That's quite straightforward. The important part is that these feed rolls for the Advance II are the same part numbers for the feed rolls for the Advance 1 series, so nothing here changes. The spare parts for this wire feeder are common to the Advance 1 range, so there's no difference. So what I've done now is I've swung the machine around to show you some of the connection points and some of the other features of the machine in a bit more detail. So the first thing I'd like to point out is that on the wire feeder, as standard, there's a lifting hook, which you can see here, attached at the rear. And on the rear of it, there's actually your serial number, which is the individual serial number for the wire feeder, which is different to the power source. Okay. Also, on the side of the machine, you'll see here is a little tray where your MIG torch can actually rest. Okay, and this is fitted to the machine already in the package. Now, some information as to what's going on over here. You can see that now the power lead is now connected to the rear of the machine with a mechanical connector. This is the control umbilical for the interconnection lead, where all the control signals from the power source or from the wire feeder, vice versa, are sent through this connection point here. And over here you can see your quick release plug plugged in for your shielding gas supply into the rear of the wire feeder. And you can trace this all the way back to the rear of the power source. An important feature here is the strain relief clamp, which takes the load of the interconnection lead, and it's especially important for the 10-meter lead, which is much heavier, that the load of the cable is relieved by this clamp that we have fitted here. So there's one fitted here, and if you look down here, you can see there's the other end of the power cord connected, and the other end of the umbilical for your control signals to the rear of the power source, just below your power source switch, which is over there. So this is where we turn the machine on and off after you've connected it up, and at the bottom in there is your fan, which is always permanently on. So this is how it's all connected up, and this one will go around through to your gas cylinder to supply the shielding gas. We've swung the machine around again, and I've got my welding gloves on because I'm almost ready to weld. So what I want to do is just quickly, after we've shown you how to connect the thing at the back, just show you some of the connections in front and what some of the front panel does. And what the control panel does on the wire feeder. So at the moment you can see I've connected up this machine to weld MIG-MAG. You can see my MIG-MAG torch is connected to the wire feeder. You can see that this little pigtail, which is used for polarity setting, is set to DC positive. You can see it's in there. And my work return lead is in my negative terminal over there. So we'll be welding DC positive with this particular machine at the moment. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach at the back and turn the power on, and you can see all the lights come up. Alright, so there's a couple of functions on this control panel that I want to run through with you to show you what they do. So the first thing is this little button here is the 2T, 4T selection, which means latched, non-latched function. At the moment the red LED is against 2T. To change it, I just press the button and it changes to 4T. You notice I'm wearing heavy welding gloves and I can touch the control panel, I can touch the knobs, and I can adjust everything through my gloves, so I don't need to take my gloves off to actually do this. So I do a selection for 2T, 4T, I'll set it back to 2T, which means I have to pull and hold the trigger on the torch the whole time, and then when I let go of the torch, the arc will cut. What I also got to check is the second button on the control panel over here, and that is essentially this selection between MIG-MAG mode and MMA mode. So if I put it there, the second LED moves down, there's to my MMA mode. Press it again, it jumps to the top, which is my MIG-MAG mode. Now, when I've selected MIG-MAG mode, what it means is that these two knobs here, which is current and voltage over here, are no longer functional. Okay, the function is actually determined by the wire feed speed or current setting up here and your voltage setting up here. So if I turn that, you can see there's changes in terms of my wire feed speed, okay, in meters per minute, and play with that. You can see I can move the voltage up and down there, right? And nothing happens on those two knobs there when I'm in MIG-MAG mode. This button here really is only for when you're in MIG-MAG mode, and that's to set my inductance, okay? And we know that inductance has an effect on your amount of spat you generated and how hard or soft your arc is in the MIG-MAG mode. So I'm currently in MIG-MAG mode, and you can see I'm up and down here with my wire feed speed in meters per minute, and there's my voltage setting there, controlled from the wire feeder. The other feature of the wire feeder, you'll see up top here, is a wire inch button. You see it sits on the outside, this little red button here. So when I feed my wire, when I put my wire into the wire feeder and I want to feed it through the torch, I press and hold that button and the wire will go through the entire torch and come out at the front of the torch. So that's as simple as that. And if I want to change polarity, it's a simple matter of swapping these two leads around. Okay, so on some self-shielded wires, you might want to weld DC electrode negative, which means these two terminals have to swap around. It is as simple as that. Okay, and right now the machine's ready to go weld. Just before we start welding, be sure to have the appropriate PPE on hand, such as your welding gloves, welding helmet with the correct shade lens. Fume extraction has to be activated, and you have to be wearing the appropriate clothing. So today we are using Argo Shield Light with a 0.9mm BOC bronze-coated MIG wire, and we'll be laying down a fillet weld on 6mm mild steel plate. And now you can see we've left behind a nice clean looking fillet weld. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video to be informative and useful.
Working with gas is as easy as BOC. Come and see us in store or check us out online.